Joining me now, two members of that bipartisan group, Senator Kent Conrad and Senator Tom Coburn. Senators, thank you so much for joining me. That's been a busy day.
Good to be with you.
Good to be with you.
Where are we as things stand?
Well, I think it's clear that we don't know. There's been a negotiation at the White House that we've not been a direct part of, and we had a meeting scheduled with our leaders for 5 o'clock, and they were called to the White House. So I don't think we'll know the full details until later tonight or perhaps in the morning. What I'm hopeful of is that we do have a deal that changed the trajectory of our debt in a way that's responsible and balanced and that can pass.
Let me ask both of you. The recent polls suggest that the American public are now pretty clear about what they're prepared to accept. They want to cut in spending, and they're prepared to accept some tax increases, and they're prepared for the debt ceiling to be raised. Would you both concur that that is where we are now in terms of public opinion?
Well, it depends on how you raise revenue, I think. I think there's no question that the American people want us to cut spending. I think there's no question they want the debt ceiling raised under conditions that we're actually going to solve the problem rather than kick the can down the road a little further. And I think people will tolerate revenue increases as long as it's not a negative drag on the economy.
I mean, you know, is it the unthinkable still for the Republicans, this whole notion of tax increases? We saw Grover Norquist today flirting with the possibility that you could perhaps rethink things. I mean, aren't we now in a situation with the American economy where thinking the unthinkable has to be the way to go?
Well, what I think we have to do is we have to reform our tax code in a way that promotes economic growth and not just add tax increases on it to meet a certain number in the budget to say we got a deal. And I think Kent and I have all along have pretty well agreed that you'll get a great, if you actually lower the tax codes and eliminate some of the deductions and tax expenditures that are in there, that you'll see an economic revival and renewal that comes with that will ultimately result in increased revenues coming to the federal government.
Senator Conrad, let me turn to you. Obviously, the fact it's a gang of six, it all sounds incredibly dynamic. Is it the start, do you think, of a new bipartisan atmosphere down in Washington? Because there's been so much hostility, so much, outright raw fury from party to party. The fact you've come together and you've put a proposal together which seems to have been the catalyst for what may well be a deal on this. Is this a way of both parties saying, okay, things did get a bit out of hand?
Yeah, I hope so. You know, look, that's what the country is asking for. They want us to work together. They want to get results. We're in a circumstance, as you know, where we're borrowing 41 cents of every dollar that we spend. Our spending is the highest it's been as a share of our economy in 60 years. The revenue is the lowest it's been as a share of our economy in 60 years. So we're in a circumstance in which the debt is creating more and more weight on this economy. We have a gross debt of 100% of the size of our economy. If there was ever a time to come together, this is it. And I think our group demonstrated that you can have a principled compromise, one that does cut spending and reform entitlements, and yes, reform the tax code to put our country in a stronger competitive position, and that people on opposite sides of the aisle can actually come together for the good of the country.
Senator Coburn, we've seen a pretty special relationship developing here between President Obama and Speaker Boehner. Would you say that it was love on the golf course? Where are we going here?
No, I'm a good friend of the president's. We have, matter of fact, almost 100% disagreement on most things. But I love the man. I think he's a neat guy, and I had a good friendship with him in the Senate. Let me comment back on what Kent was commenting. I think the partisanship is made worse by you all. I don't think the partisanship is near as bad as portrayed in the press. I think we have great relationships most of the time in the Senate. We just have frank differences of opinions on what's best for the country. And that's not partisanship. That's long-held, deep beliefs in difference of opinion. That's why Kent is where he is in his registration. That's where I am. So you all don't get to see the inner workings behind the scenes of the Senate. I think there's a ton of relationships between both sides of the party, and I just don't think it's near what you think it is. I think, having said that, this is a time our country's at risk, our future's at risk, and if, in fact, we don't come together and make the hard choices and the sacrifices that are necessary, then we're all going to pay a very big price for that, and we will be responsible for that by not working together.
Well, Senators, I would be delighted to come down to Washington and test your theory
well,
that
we'll let
all
you
is now glowing in the garden.
Love to have you. Come on down.
I'll take you up on that and come and we can all have a cup of tea and chew the fat. Now we're all getting on so famously. Thank you both very much.
You're welcome.